So DOGE, D-O-G-E, it's got a lot of people freaking out right now. And I think there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from what the DOGE is doing and how we can apply it to our personal lives. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've been hearing out there about DOGE and how it can relate to our personal lives. And I think we should be able to create maybe a new organization called D.O.P.E. And I'm going to tell you what that means in a minute. My name is Cluff. I absolutely love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. And in this video, we're going to talk about ways that you are wasting money, just like what we're seeing with the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. So right now they're going into every one of the departments in the government. The president has asked Elon Musk to go in and actually audit a lot of these departments, a lot of these three-letter agencies. And they're all freaking out because they've pretty much been able to spend whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. And now somebody's coming in telling them, hey, why are you spending money doing that? What is this for? What is that money for? And recently there's even some emails that are going out to some of these government employees saying, what did you do last week? Are you even working? You're on the payroll, but what are you doing? Since I, as a financial professional, have to every year take lessons. It's anti-money laundering. There's also fraud, waste, and abuse. There's a lot of different trainings that I have to take every single year. And fraud, waste, and abuse is a huge one because there's a lot of that's happening in the world, and there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of the government. I want to talk a little bit about how we can take a look at how we can bring what's happening in the government into our personal lives and figure out a few ways that we can overcome some of the challenges that are happening in our own lives with fraud, waste, and abuse. So what's super crazy about fraud, waste, and abuse is that every year, billions, with a B, of dollars in our government is completely being wasted. That's money that us as taxpayers are paying in order to run the government. And if it's all being wasted and abused and there's fraud, wouldn't you want to know about that? I mean, yes, of course, there's some details that you may, depending on your political party, you may or may not agree with. But the idea of wasting money and having money being fraudulently spent or abused, that's not good no matter who you are, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on. That's just not good to have. So let's get into a few definitions of what is fraud, what is waste, and what is abuse. So fraud is knowingly making false claims, in basically submitting a false receipt or submitting to reimbursement for something that you know didn't happen. And you know it didn't happen. You're just submitting it so that you can get money from the government. Because you know at some level, and we've actually even seen and heard, some of these government agencies just pay whatever comes in. In fact, I was listening to Sean Hannity had an interview with Elon Musk and with President Trump. And they said, basically, whenever a receipt is submitted, they just pay it. They don't even question it. They don't even ask what's going on. That, to me, is a form of fraud. Or it could be a potential form of fraud if people knowingly are producing receipts or reimbursement claims that aren't related to any work that has ever been done, which can also be waste and abuse. But fraud is knowingly submitting a claim that didn't have anything to do with anything. You're just submitting the claim to get paid, and knowing the government's just going to pay it. Waste is a little bit different. Waste is when you may or may not know, but you're not asking for accountability. You're just paying whatever comes in because it's something that comes in. It could be legitimate. It could be a legitimate cost, but there's just no way for you to track it. There's no way that you're actually keeping track and doing what you're supposed to do to make sure that that's an actual expense that needs to be taken care of. And then there's abuse, which is similar to waste, where you're actually not doing what you're supposed to. You're not actually, for example, if you have a contractor that's supposed to do something for the government and they knowingly know, hey, well, let's take extra breaks, let's buy extra meals, let's get it all reimbursed. That's waste and abuse. It's not necessarily fraud. You're not actually trying to do something illegal. You're actually just wasting a lot of the resources. You're wasting time, energy, and talents. And that is not good. So fraud, waste, and abuse is something that we should all be wanting to clean up. And so here's where I was thinking about what DOPE, the Department of Personal Efficiency. So you should have a Department of Personal Efficiency in your life. What are you doing in your life that's fraudulent, that's wasteful, or that's abusive? And I think that if you have a couple, if you have a husband or wife or a couple, or spouse or significant other, and you're in a relationship, Fraud can literally come into that. Like, you could be doing things fraudulently in your relationship, not necessarily illegal in the grand scheme of things, and the police aren't going to come get you, but in your relationship with that person, what are you doing that's fraudulent? Are you buying things with a separate secret account? Do you have money that you're spending and you're spending it on other things and then coming home and telling your significant other, your spouse, your husband, your wife, that it was for something else? That's fraud in your relationship. Now, waste and abuse at a personal level and in the Department of Personal Efficiency is something along the lines of, are you overspending? Do you have a lot of subscriptions that you don't need? Are you buying things that you don't really need? Just do you follow that shiny object syndrome? Are you a little bit on the side of keeping up with the Joneses and you're trying to buy the coolest, fanciest 14th pair of shoes, the bigger TV, the bigger screen, the stuff that you really don't need? And that to me is wasteful. That's stuff that's, you buy a bunch of extra food, you don't ever even eat it, and then you throw it away. You buy a bunch of extra clothes, you don't really need it, you end up giving it away. Now, don't get me wrong, I do a lot of thrift shopping, and I go to certain stores. There are certain thrift stores that I go to in upscale neighborhoods that I can literally go in there and find almost brand new clothing for a fraction of the cost. So there's a lot of people out there that are wasting money on these name brand designer clothes, and then they don't ever wear them. I actually know people that have gone into the thrift stores in these higher end neighborhoods, and the label, the tag is still on the clothing item because they didn't even ever wear it. That to me is wasteful. This person wasted that money. They abused the income that they have, and they might be making so much money that it really doesn't matter. But at the same time, you and me, guys and gals like you and me, we don't have enough money to waste doing that. But yet here we are wasting money. I bet you right now, if you opened up your bank account, you opened up your credit cards, and you took a look at all the different expenses that went out over the last 30, 60, or 90 days, you would see a ton of waste. You would see a ton of things that you don't really need to be spending money on that you're spending money on. That's waste and potential abuse. Stop doing that. Get yourself a Department of Personal Efficiency and stop the fraud, waste, and abuse. If you're doing secret things with your significant other, your spouse, your husband or wife, that actually needs to stop right away, because you're going to probably end up in divorce or separated quickly if they find out that you're doing things secretively. That's just not good practice, no matter who it is. Even amongst friends, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that fraudulently like that. Waste is definitely happening in your life, because it's happened in my life. I did a video a couple of weeks ago on how I found $500 that I was wasting every single month. And that was just one area of my finances. That was one, actually it was pretty much just my Amazon stuff that I was doing on a regular basis. I still need to go over and review some of my other credit cards. I need to review some of my dining out. I need to review some of my business expenses to make sure that they're actual expenses that I really need versus expenses that I think I need or thought I needed at one point but haven't ever actually used since I got them. There's a ton of those where you sign up for free for 30 days and then it's a subscription after that. Well, you probably signed up, the 30 days is long gone, and you've probably been paying for several months. There's several of those right now in your current credit card statements, in your current bank statements. I bet you there are hundreds of dollars sitting there waiting for you to claim and get back into your life. If you open up a Department of Personal Efficiency and go through and look at the fraud, waste, and abuse in your finances, I bet you would find thousands, at least hundreds, but you might even find thousands of dollars that you're wasting and or misusing that you could reclaim and use towards helping you get out of debt, build your savings accounts, start getting that protection that you need for risk management, and then building wealth and building your massive bank account. I actually created a free ebook that goes into the details of how I go through all of my spending, how I look back on the last 90 days, how I move forward with tracking and making sure that I keep track and really becoming aware of my spending. If you want to download that ebook, it's free. It's about 18 pages of great information. It's actionable information. It's not one of those fluffy ebooks where you just download it and you're really not sure what to do even after you've read it. It literally will walk you through that. There's an upgrade to some video courses that I think are fantastic. Click the link in the description below if you want to get the free ebook. It's at pariscluff.com/free book. It's totally worth it. I've had clients save $600, $700, $800 a month by going through this process, and I promise that it will be valuable to you. I don't know how you feel about DOGE or DOPE, but you better feel good about getting rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse in your life, If our country is doing it, we should do it. Let's make Americans great again as America is becoming great again. And let's become wealthy again. Make America wealthy again. That's my plea. Go forth and do. Make sure that you're doing all that you can to build your massive bank account. If you want to watch the video that I did about how I found $500 a month that I was wasting, go ahead and check it out right here. And make sure you're doing everything you can to turn income into wealth and build your massive bank account. We'll see you on the next one.